whenever I'm home, I'm listening to WCHB AM 1340.
Detroit, you need to be made aware. Welcome to Practicing Self-Awareness with hosts Robert Chacon and Jose Villegas.
Good afternoon, Detroit. You're listening to the Practicing Self-Awareness show on 1340 AM WCHB. And we're so glad you joined us today. We got a hot show on a very cold day, and we're going to get right into it. We're not going to waste any time. And my co-host, Mr. Jose Villegas, how you doing, brother?
I'm good, Zerb. How you?
I'm doing good, man. What's going on with you today?
Man, I'm just observing. That's all.
You just
observing.
Okay. That's good. Well, listen, we're not going to even waste any time today because we got a lot to go over. We want to introduce our illustrious guest that's came to hang out with us today and talk about some projects that's going on with his company. Without any further ado, we want to introduce community activist, CEO of Detroit Recovery Project, Mr. Andre Johnson. What's going on, Andre?
Oh, man. How you doing, Robert Chacon and Jose, practicing self-awareness? I'm trying to learn from y'all, brother. Y'all got to give me some of that insight into a better understanding myself so that I can be a more present person. I just love this conversation around self-awareness. It's so important. It's so key to life.
Yes,
Thank
it
you.
is.
Thank you, man. We're glad you joining us, and we glad that you getting in on this movement and getting in on this vibe with us. And man, we happy to have you here today. Have you got a chance to check out any of the material? The book a little bit, and we thank you for your purchases, man. Helping us out, helping us get started on the road.
Yeah,
that was a good look. Thank you.
Well, we believe in supporting our families and friends. We don't have enough African American authors in this country as it is, and so I 100% believe it's important and my duty, if I'm in a position to support and patronize authors. I know the work. Robert, you talked to me about the work and the efforts you put into this initiative over the years. And, my only hope and prayer is that it's successful and that we can continue to increase our awareness around how important self-awareness is. My children have read your book and they've been talking about it. So we've had some conversations about, that was in self-awareness. And now I'm using these tools and I'm applying, my son is now talking about how he's applying that, those concepts to his own personal development from, as he matriculates in this, he's a sophomore in college and, he's a young aspiring entrepreneur. And that book has really provided him with some in-depth tools that's applicable in all areas of one's life.
Man, I'm so happy to hear that, man, because and it seemed like me and Jose, we hear that a lot of times, the feedback we get from like younger, generation, because it's people out here, man, they starving to hear a message and to hear a new way. Just real quick, just in conjunction with what you were saying, I was on a panel of young adults, and the kids were rejecting a lot of the things that we had it over at my church, and the kids seemed to not be receptive to a lot of messages they were hearing because it was a lot of the same messages. But today I was on my Instagram, and they had old school El DeBarge. They had him performing live, and I seen the young people on there. Their reaction was like, "Wow, I can't believe that, man! The old school was like that. I wish we had it like that. I wish." This generation. And I think what it is I think you can reach the young people, but you got to give them something exciting. And you understand what I'm saying? You got to give them something real and beautiful
Right.
for them to see. You can't keep repackaging the same old message over and over. And that's where the rebellion is coming from, because they don't feel like a lot of it is working. And so when you said that about the young people, man, that made me feel good, because that lets me know that, wow, we have something young, something exciting, and a movement that is not the same old, same old. You know what I'm saying? You want to interject, Jose?
Well, what we call a rebellion is really people see that it don't work for us. Like I said, holler if you hear me. Still, hey Dre, what's up, brother?
What's
Good
up?
to hear your voice, man.
Thank you. That's a blessing.
Yeah, man. Good to hear you, man. But like I was saying, man, you hear that saying, the good old days. Well, if them days were so good, why nobody ain't better? You always say the good old days when you done passed them, right? But when you was in them days, you was trying to get out of them too. So when I see young folks, I find they more receptive to my message because they have not cultivated enough unconsciousness.
I like that. They ain't became a slave yet. Go on, say the truth. They ain't became a slave to the system yet.
Yeah, when I talk to older people, 50, 60 years old, sometimes I feel like I'm wasting my time, man. They be like, yeah, I hear that, but then they revert to the Bible. And if the Bible really works for you, why you listening to me? You know what I mean? So I'm finding out, man, these young kids looking at us and they saying, well, it ain't work for you. And they really ain't got nowhere to go. So it looks like they rebelling and they just hanging out there. They're not hanging out there. They just waiting for something that identifies with them. That's all. And so self-awareness identify with everybody, because what I told you earlier, I said, man, I've been through 3 religions, Islam, Christianity, and Buddhism, and none of them talked about me, not in a healthy way. As a matter of fact, Buddhism was the only reason that came close to talking about the individual, meaning that if we don't get it right, ain't nothing going to be right on the earth. That's why self-awareness is so important, because we the problem and we the solution. We both, because we the only creators on the earth. So our young folks, what if they learn this information? What if they learn what me and you talking about when they're young, when they got time to cultivate it and have a good life from it? So me and you was getting past 50 when we started getting this stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But we started early in the game with recovery, and then recovery couldn't take us but so far. And then me and you just hooked up. And from there, here we are.
Yeah.
Go ahead, I don't want to take over.
No, man, that was some good stuff. And what we're talking about here is, because when I wrote my book, what I saw was I saw a generation where, what I've learned is it's multiple paths to spiritual enlightenment. And some of the conventional ways that are in our communities and our societies, when they don't work, a lot of times I've seen a generation just turn their back on spirituality and God. And I said, we've cultivated other paths to learn about this power, to increase our conscious contact with it. And it's my duty to go out and share those paths, because I don't ever want anybody to turn their back on spirituality or God just because what was introduced in their community didn't spark that plug. It's okay, this didn't work. I'm aware that this didn't work, but let me seek other paths, because that is essentially the most important part of your life, is your spirituality and getting in tune with it and having enlightenment. Did you want to add anything to what you heard so far?
Oh
Andre?
man, y'all got me. I'm
just
in awe just listening to you. But I was just thinking about how the book itself, or the topic of self-awareness, it's applicable to all ages. It's like an ageless piece of information. But I think a person have to be ready. Jose talked about conscious. To have the conscious. It takes conscious to look at yourself. To have some conscious awareness It's what we all need. We all need tools to become better human beings and function in this dysfunctional society and world we live in. So I think it's just so many different angles that we can take. But it's anybody can mesh this into their life. This book it's not an intergenerational book. It's a timeless piece of information. And I think we're often taught not to look at ourselves. We're often taught to find happiness and peace from outside of ourselves. And so when we read this book, we begin to enter a journey inward, and we discover some things about ourselves. We discover what our strengths and weaknesses are. We discover what our abilities are. We discover our assets and liabilities. And the more we begin to work inwardly, the better we become outwardly. And so for me, that's the striking thing about this book for me. It's you got to be willing to go on that journey inside. I mean, we're living in a society where we're often entertained. We're entertained by social media. We're entertained by what people wear and drive, and that's what black folks talk about every day. Oh, did you see such and such just got a contract for $200 million? So it's a lot of information that we talk about that's not relevant to us as human beings. It's not relevant to making us better and productive people. And so that's what I like about your book, is that it's a book of empowering one's life versus reading a Jay-Z book talk about selling dope. We done heard all the dope stories. You know what I mean? We need new stories.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, people want to be excited, but like you said, they want to hear something new, something fresh, but that clicks and makes sense.
Yeah, and that's the good thing about the book. You spoke in layman terms. That's why I say a 19-year-old. It meshes with a 19-year-old who's going through a period of life trying to find himself, trying to discover himself. Mm-hmm. You guys know what it was like being 18 and 19. You happy on one aspect that you can do some things that you once couldn't do, but you also lost in the midst of that. You need guidance.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's what I talked about Saturday at the event, and I like to, thank my, the church that I go to, Morning View, for allowing us to have that session there, and the first lady said she might be calling in, and Pastor Crump, we thank you for letting us come there, and I want to just send a shout out to Renee, and thanks for encouraging me, because she you giving something to the youth, and not only the youth but me too. And I just want to thank you, for the support, and we really appreciate it. But Zerb, did you want to chime in a little bit? Because Andre, man, he kind of hit exactly everything we trying to do with this message of empowerment about self-discovery.
Well, see, but that's the key, self-discovery. I'm trying to discover, because there's things about myself that I didn't even know existed. So I started taking the layers off, man, and I was like, I didn't even know. You remember last show what I talked about? I said, last show I said, I noticed that when I come downstairs, everybody disappears. So the common denominator got to be me, and I think I'm the positive guy, right?
Wow.
So I go down there and I go down there and be trying to tell everybody how to live, and they don't want to hear it because they know my story, right? And so I didn't have enough awareness at that time, but I do. But the beautiful thing about this process, it wakes you up. You don't have to wake yourself up once you do it long enough to become a habit, right?
Right.
And so, man, I noticed that everybody, so when I started doing something said to me, now when I say something said, I'm talking about God. God said to me, maybe you ought to stop trying to make them live with you and you live with them. Stop trying to bring them up to your level. You see what I'm saying? Leave them alone. Man, I'm going to tell you the results of that. I left them alone. My daughters and stuff, my wife didn't cook dinner 3 or 4 days in a row. I mean, I'm like, hold on, y'all all right? I'm checking.
Now, let's unpack this a little bit, because what you're saying is you practice self-awareness, and it revealed to you that you might be the problem, not them.
To me, I'm the problem. It wasn't them. And as soon as I realized that and backed up, it changed them. I wasn't trying to change them anymore. I was trying to change me.
Yeah. So and man, that was, and I love how we have this saying in this self-aware world, we say put it in the physical, because a lot of times people need to hear a physical example of an experience somebody had where they practiced self-awareness and what they were able to see in their self, and it helped change everything. So let's do this. I'm going to open up the phone lines, and we're going to see if anybody wants to call and hear about this new movement, this voice in the community that we're bringing with this self-awareness movement. I'm going to give you the number. And while we're waiting on people to dial in, we're going to, Zer, we're going to have Andre tell us about something that's going on at the Detroit Recovery Project. Remember, I said he's a community activist, and he has this business that's really, really, like we're talking about practical solutions. He has brought something, you know, let me say it like this. What I love about the Detroit Recovery Project is I can remember, so I'll have 32 years of sobriety this year. And I remember when I first started down this path, there was no place like a Detroit Recovery Project just right in your community where you could just walk up and they start giving you the help soon as you walk in the door. So what Andre has created is like the McDonald's of the recovery stuff. It's right in your community. We can get you in fast. You know, like, I mean, Tupac and even made a movie about it. It was a time where, like, and they showed these guys went all over the city for 24 hours, still couldn't get in treatment, went to about 10 different places. And that's how it was back in the late the 70s and the 80s. But now you have somebody like him that has brought this nonprofit organization to the community where it's right in your neighborhood and you can walk right up and get the help you need. So we're going to let him talk about something they got on. But the number is 313-837-1340. That's 313-837-1340. And if you want to join us and talk about self-awareness, you may have some questions about it. You may have went out and had a self-awareness experience and you want to talk about it. But right now we're going to turn it over and let Andre talk about his company and the things they're doing in the community.
Thank you, Robert. So Detroit Recovery Project is a 501c3 nonprofit that was established in 2005. We recognize in the city of Detroit that thousands of people were going through the treatment system, on an average about 15,000 people per day. And during that time, people were being released and they were relapsing, meaning returning back to their alcohol and drug usage within the first 30 days after exiting those programs. And I thought to myself, how important and how valuable would it be to develop and create a program that meet people once they exit the residential treatment programs, be a support in the community, a community support, right, where people can access. And we realized early on after doing research that a lot of folks, when they completed treatment, they lack recovery connections. They lack social connections. They lacked emotional connections. They lacked instrumental and informational support. And so we developed and created this program. And as we developed and created it, it was a peer-led, peer-run, peer-driven approach. And part of what we had done was we pulled in a number of leaders who were actively working in the field. We had a guy by the name of Dwight Ritchie. He had been drug-free from heroin for about 25 years, and he was a clinical director at a methadone clinic called Star Center. We had our brother Lawrence Kenyatta, who had been clean 20-something years, and he talks about getting clean and from the late 70s from the Odyssey House, and he worked at Spectrum Human Services. We had Mr. Alan Bray, who was the CEO, the late CEO of Share House at the time, who was an old-time heroin user. And so we had this cadre of very passionate black men and women who really wanted to develop and create something meaningful, because we were all tired of seeing people continuously returning to drug use in the community and not having ample services that they needed the moment they got clean. We believe that people who are suffering from substance use disorders need a support system in place. Many of our people, as you already know, you're one of our senior certified recovery coaches, is that folks done burned all their bridges. They don't have nobody to return to. And so we're that beacon of light. We're that place of peer-led, peer-ran, peer-driven, where we meet people exactly where they are. And we help them to sustain long-term recovery. We tell them we believe in them. We tell them, we give them the hope that they're not getting nowhere else. Because sometimes people not getting no hope in the course of 24 hours. In the course of 24 hours, and sometimes we know those 24 hours turn into months and years of not feeling love, not feeling valued, not feeling appreciated, not being encouraged, not believing in yourself. Because, drugs and alcohol and the lifestyle robs you of hope. It robs you of a spirit of happiness. It robs you of peace. And so that's why, Detroit Recovery Project has been created. Now, the fact this year, we'll be celebrating 18 years of being in business in the city of Detroit. And we've been able to touch thousands of lives in our community thanks to some of our great recovering folks like you and Jose. Jose used to come to Detroit and speak to our people. And
he did.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to him, but we had to get Jose back.
We got to get him back.
But
You're quarantined now.
Yeah, right. We got to do a quarantine virtual support group featuring Jose.
Yeah.
We got to be creative because, see, when you was using drugs, you was creative. And we act like because it's quarantine or pandemic that because it ain't stopping the users and it ain't stopping the drug dealers. In fact, since this pandemic, we've seen a spike and an increase of drug overdose deaths. We've seen an increase of relapse. We've seen a spike in domestic violence and an increase of new drug users. So the work has to be done. And we have to be creative, and we have to meet people where they are, and we have to develop recovery programming for the people who are hard to reach, the vulnerable population. Absolutely. But I wanted to talk about something exciting that's coming up. There's an organization called the Healing Word Ministry that has decided to do a fundraiser on behalf of Detroit Recovery Project. They do a fundraiser every year. And they give the proceeds to a nonprofit. Wow. And this year, a lady called, I'll just call her name. She don't like me to say her name, but her name is Deborah Keys. Very kind, very nice, very passionate, and doing something totally unconditional. How often do you get somebody to call you and say, hey, your agency has been recommended as a benefactor for the fundraiser? And I say, what? and she said, and I say, well, let's do it. And so we have a goal, which is raise $50,000. There's a kickoff that started February 1st. We're encouraging people to go to our website and contribute money to our, if you go straight to recovery4detroit.com, that's www.recovery4detroit.com. There's information about the fundraiser on our homepage, and people can actually press the button and donate, and then make sure that they record February 27th. We're going to have a virtual live fundraiser with some amazing speakers to help kick off this event. So again, February 27th, the event starts from 11 o'clock a.m. to 12 o'clock p.m. We have Andre Spivey as one of our guest speakers. We have it's another guy.
Council person.
Yeah, Councilman Spivey. But what's the other guy? Freddie Haynes, out of Texas. He's a renowned preacher.
Yeah, that's the
that connect this generation to the Word of God. This is a faith-based initiative that's supporting our organization. So I'm incredibly appreciative and humbly and just excited that I get a random call from somebody that wants to give and support our cause, because this is a cause people don't often want to support. This is a cause that people don't often want to talk about. This is the work we do. There's a ugly stigmatization that's attached to it.
And man, we appreciate you bringing that information. And right before we end, we want you to give it one more time so people can get involved and, they can contribute. We have a phone caller. What's going on, caller? How are you?
Yeah, just fine. Could you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Well, you can count me in on the fundraiser. My name is Lawrence Kenyatta. I'm proud. I am proud of the work that you're doing, Mr. Robert Khan. Where could you pick the book up? That's what I've I got pen and paper in my hand, waiting to write down where could I get the book. Could I start by Detroit Recovery Project or what? But I want to just say this here. Out all the years that I've been associated with Detroit Recovery Project, I am really proud of the great work you guys been doing, Mr. Johnson. I'm just proud to be associated with it. Anything that I can do to be of any support, you guys know that's my history. Because let me tell you this here. I'm in recovery myself through the grace of God. I got 39 years. And I know that the more I be of some service to other people, trying to help somebody, it benefits me also.
Come on with it, Lawrence King.
Spiritually to me. So it's an obligation that I have to do in order for me to maintain my recovery. So I want to just say thank you, Robert. I'm looking forward to pick your book up. I got pen and paper. I've been waiting for 30 minutes for you to say
let us know so we can so listen, Lawrence, you could go to www.rshakan.com. Rshakan is RSHA.
Hold up, let me I put it out before you get off the station because I'm not the only person who needs this information. I've been waiting for about since you came on the show and started talking about the book so I can get the information. So I'm sure it's probably thousands of other people out there who's waiting to get this information also.
Okay, I'm going to give it to you. And I'm going to contact you too personally because I want to make sure you get one. Got 3 more callers. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. So the website is www.rshakan.com. You can go on there and you can get my book. That's www.rshakan.com. You can also contact me on Facebook, Robert Shakan, or on Instagram, Robinski5, ROBINSKI. And get you a book. This book is life-changing. Me and Jose have been working on this message for over 10 years, and we discovered we needed something. The things we were using wasn't working, and we were blessed to have this message was given to us from God to share with our community, a pathway to spiritual enlightenment, like Andre was saying earlier, a practical pathway, something you can actually use moment to moment. You can become your own message, your own pulpit. And before we let Andre give his message, his info again, Zerb, did you have something to say, man?
Yeah, y'all did it. We about out of time, but just know that we lived this message. That's how we got it.
Okay, man. Thanks. We thank you for sharing that. Once again, the website is www.rshakan.com. That's Rshakan, RSHAKHAN. Order my book. I'm sure you're going to love it. Be here every week. We're going to talk about it a lot more. We're going to turn the show over to my main man right here, Andre, and let him give his information about the event that's coming up one more time.
So again, the event, the title of the event is called Fire. We want people to understand there's going to be some fire burning on that day. But more importantly, you can go register or you can search Black Fire on Eventbrite. Again, you can search Black Fire on Eventbrite, and also you can go to our website and donate money directly to our site. There's a button you can press, and it'll lead you to PayPal and electronic methods to make a donation. Again, our website is recovery4detroit.com. That's recovery4detroit.com. The event is February the 27th from 11 a.m. till 12 o'clock p.m. That's February 27th from 11 a.m. to 12 o'clock p.m. And it's a virtual fundraising event that's being hosted by the illustrious Deborah Keys. Come out, show up, show some support. We need you. We love you. And thank you 1,000 times for inviting me to be on your radio show today.
Yeah, we want to say thank you for coming by and stopping by and seeing us, brother. And your presence is always appreciated. Feel free to come back, man. We're gonna be doing this for a while. So,
oh man, I know you talking to Jose from DC. I wouldn't miss that opportunity.
His new name is Zerb.
Zerb.
All right, all right, Detroit.
Yeah,
we love you.
He'll explain that to you when you
Y'all have a good one. We love you, Detroit.
You have just been made aware. The Practicing Self-Awareness Show with host Robert Chacon and Jose.